I'm William Anderson, and this is my COMM 100 speech on why you should buy a 3D printer. So, during this pandemic, how can you fight it with things just around your house? And I don't mean fight it like just being able to use that old bandana and an old t-shirt to make a mask. I mean like actually supplying hospitals with face shields and stuff like that. Well, the 3D printer, you can. Through places like Mercy Face Shield or through designs on America Makes, you can actually help to supply things in test kits. America Makes has different information on that. And you can help make face shield, which is what Mercy Face Shield does. They also have little ear savers to help with the masks, just various PPE to help the people on the front lines. But it's also increasing a lot in relevance, not just because of pandemic, but just because it's progressing a lot in technology. I was reading a book in my research by a man that was written about 7 years ago, by a man named Kvetkovich, which with a name like that, you know he knows what he's talking about. And he was talking about, in the future, it will be like a thing that can make it like in Star Trek, it can just create it. And, these things cost about 10 grand now for an industrial printer, but eventually it'll be available to the common man. And he wasn't too far off. It just progressed a lot faster than I think he could have predicted. So what exactly can you do with a printer? I kind of hinted about it there, but especially when it's not in a pandemic. I want to use it the 99.9% of the time that we're not in a pandemic. So I'm going to show you a couple examples from Thingiverse because it was told to me that you don't know what you can 3D print until you have a 3D printer. That's what I heard before I bought mine. So I'll show you a little bit that I found. So here's a French curve. I was looking into buying one of these, and I found some on Amazon, and they're about 10 bucks. And I found these designs, and it cost me about $1.60 to make. Another example is the laptop stand. Cost me about $2. Use these all the time. Found something comparable on Amazon for about 20. Another cool example that I found is a flexible smartphone holder with holding arm with an integrated charging lead. It's pretty cool, something that's kind of nice, that way you don't have to hold your phone while you're watching a video or whatever. What about a Baby Yoda figure? I mean, who doesn't want a Baby Yoda figure? Another one that I built is a bottle opening cap gun. I've made this as a gift for a couple people. Pretty cool. Opens it, shoots it. But the ultimate testament to the adaptability of a 3D printer is, of course, the Ultra Swole Pikachu, because it just is. You can't beat Ultra Swole Pikachu when it comes to that. So now that I've talked about that a little bit, you can literally build anything if it fits on the build plate. And the build plate's about yay big for a budget entry-end printer. But how much does that budget entry-end printer cost? I kind of hinted about 10 grand for an industrial one, but nobody has 10 grand to throw around, and it's not that much. For a Prusa, it's about 750, and for a CR10, it's about 617. I got those prices off of Prusa's website and off of Creality's for the CR10, and that's still expensive. Those are a nice printer for somebody who's been doing it a while and wants to upgrade. But a more accessible one is the Prusa Mini, which is about $349, but of course the Ender 3, which is what I actually have behind me, and that's about $175 right now. It's just a really nice printer, but what about the filament? You have to have gas in your car to get it to go. So that filament is only about 20 bucks a spool. That's those numbers that I was quoting earlier for prices. That's the cost of the filament per the item, but the whole spool is about 20 bucks. So what about the environmental cost of this? Is it environmentally friendly? And it can be. ABS is not. It emits fumes. There's various stuff. It doesn't degrade easily. There's just various stuff about that. But PLA, which is the more common material, is actually fully biodegradable, which is seen in eSun's product manual. I've actually seen that before myself, just because I've composted it. And it goes away pretty quickly. So what about actually building a printer? Because these things come in kits. You don't just get a ready-made printer. You actually have to build it yourself. And it's pretty much just an advanced IKEA thing. It's not that hard. It took me a little bit, and the tools come with it. There's a ton of help available online, which I would highly recommend. Don't be like me. I tried to build it just using the Cantonese manual, and I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I can't read Cantonese. So that didn't go too well. It took me about 6 hours, a couple of days of tuning to get it all done, but it'd only take you about 3 hours if you're actually following instruction manuals. So what actually knowledge is needed to get it to run? And that would be CAD, but not really, because those designs that I was showing you are actually the already ready-made designs, and those designs are it. You can make them yourself with CAD, but you don't have to know how to use it in order to get them. So then you just take that you download, you pop it into a slicing program. The slicer, all that it does is it goes like to the object, And then that creates little layers, and it tells the printer to generate the filament in those areas in the exact amount. So you're able to use that, and you just plug it into a printer. It's called G-code. You don't have to mess with it. Plug it in, start it going, you have an object. So to conclude, you should buy a 3D printer. It's a really fun hobby to get into. There's a lot of adaptability with it. You don't have to worry about stuff. If you break something, you can fix it with something that you make. It gives you a little bit more time, a little bit more flexibility. It's just a great thing to get into. And it's an awesome time to start too. There's a lot of summer sales going on. That's how I got such a low price figure for the Ender 3. You can get stuff through third-party companies. It's an ever-expanding place. It's just getting cheaper. So if you have to get like upgrades or if you have to fix something, it's actually fairly inexpensive to do. It's not that hard. Most of it's just plugging and unplugging stuff, and it's really not that hard. So just to finally conclude in a more concise way, fight that pandemic. Just do it. Print that Ultra Swole Pikachu. I know you want to. That was a pretty cool picture. Watch those tutorials, and above all, you just need to buy the printer.